Welcome to another episode of Paul vs. Food, and on tonight's episode we're making 7-layer Italian cookies, sometimes called rainbow cookies. These are absolutely amazing. You gotta try these. If you're ready, let's get started. So here's what we need: flour, sugar, apricot preserves, almond paste, eggs, butter, almond extract, food coloring, and semi-sweet chocolate. The first thing we're going to do is chop up our almond paste. Next, we'll add this to our mixing bowl, along with our softened butter. Allow this butter to come to room temperature before mixing. Next, we'll set our mixer to low, and we're going to add our sugar. Next, we're going to separate 4 eggs into yolks and whites. Now we'll add our almond extract. And our egg yolks. We'll put the mixer back on slow. Next, we'll add salt, followed by flour. Next, we're going to whisk our egg whites until they're just frothy. Then we'll add them to the mixing bowl and combine well. Now we'll separate out our batter into 3 bowls. You can either weigh these out or just eyeball them, make sure they're fairly even. Now we'll add food coloring to one, about 25 to 30 drops. We'll mix this with a fork until it's even. Next, we'll add our red food coloring to our other bowl, again 25 to 30 drops, and mix until even. Next, we're going to take a quarter tray, spray it with a little bit of Pam, or you can use butter. Then place parchment paper on top and fold it down to the corners. Leave a little extra top and bottom. It will help you lift the cookie out later. Next, a light spray on top of our parchment paper. And we'll add our batter. With a spoon or a spatula, spread it out as evenly as you can. Do the same for the red and the white. Into the oven they go at 350 degrees for about 8 minutes. After they're cool, you're going to flip them out onto a piece of parchment paper. Green or red down first. Peel off the backing parchment paper. And spread a thin layer of apricot preserves. Next, we'll flip the white layer over, being careful to line it up. We'll remove the backing and gently press down with your hand. Another thin layer of apricot preserves. And we'll move on to our last layer. If it's misaligned, you can slowly slide it over very carefully. And then with your hands, press it down gently. Next, we'll use a double boiler to melt our chocolate chips. When the chocolate is melted and smooth, we'll add it to the top. And we'll use a spatula to evenly spread it across the surface. You want to keep this a fairly thin layer. Then we're going to place it in the refrigerator until the chocolate hardens, and we'll flip over the entire piece and do the other side. This will go back into the fridge until it's dry, and then when we remove it, we're going to use a bread knife to cut away the edges. Be very careful here. You can break the chocolate if you go too firm. Next, we'll add a ruler and we'll measure off about 1.5 inches across for our cookies. Next, we'll cut them lengthwise. And you can use a piece of parchment paper over the chocolate so that your hand doesn't melt the surface. Once we have all of these cut lengthwise, I'm going to put it back into the refrigerator just to firm it up before cutting them into smaller pieces. All right, guys, our 7-layer cookies are done. I know that was a lot of steps, but wow, we got through them. Let's give them a try. Sorry, that was just too amazing not to finish. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Paul vs. Food. If you want the detailed recipe for this, go to paulversusfood.com. Also, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Paul vs. Food. Good night.